Hi dears, welcome back. Today we are going to study history from class 8. The name of chapter which we study today is Ruling the Countryside. From previous chapter, you have learned how the East India Company got the royal charter to trade with India. In this video, you can understand how East India Company, after becoming Diwan of Bengal, earned its revenue by formulating some new methods of revenue collection, redefine the rights of people, and produce the crops it wanted. Let's start. The Mughal emperor appointed the East India Company as the Diwan of Bengal on 12 August 1765. Robert Clive accepted the title of Diwan of Bengal on behalf of the East India Company. As Diwan, the company became the chief financial administrator of the territory under its control. A Diwani had the right to collect revenue and handle the revenue administration of a region. They fixed revenue in such a way that it would meet the expenses of the company. It also gave them the power to decide what products should be purchased and sold. Revenue for the company. The company's aim was to increase the revenue as much as it could, and buy fine cotton and silk cloth as cheaply as possible. Within a span of 5 years, the value of goods bought by the company in Bengal doubled. Before 1765, the company purchased goods in India by importing gold and silver from Britain. Now purchase of goods was financed by the revenue collected in Bengal. The Bengal economy was facing a deep crisis. Big famine of 1770 hit Bengal. This killed about 10 million populations there. As such incidents ruined the economy heavily, the company then felt the need of improving agriculture. The need to improve agriculture. The fall in agriculture was resulting into great loss of revenue to the company. In 1793, the company took the decision of introducing the revenue collection method, known as permanent settlement, under the reign of Lord Cornwallis. Under this system, Rajas and Talukdars were known as zamindars or owners of the land. This was basically an agreement between the company and the zamindars to fix the land revenue. Zamindars were in charge of collecting the revenue from peasants and pay revenue to the company. A revenue amount was fixed permanently and it was not to be increased in future. Company believed that this settlement would ensure a regular flow of revenue into the company. And at the same time they encouraged the zamindars to invest in improving the land. However, the permanent settlement created problems. What was the impact of permanent settlement on zamindars? The permanent settlement brought about an adverse effect on the zamindars. The zamindars were not interested in the improvement of land. So production of crop reduced. The revenue that had been fixed was so high that they found it difficult to pay. What was the impact of permanent settlement on the company? The permanent settlement didn't prove to be useful as thought by the company. In the early 19th century, agricultural production improved and the market prices rose. There was an excess income from agriculture. However, due to the principle of fixed revenue, the company could not benefit from the agricultural boom. The zamindars were still not interested in improving the land. The worst effect was seen on the farmers who were forced to pay high rent. Zamindars were started to exploit the peasants and cultivators. The rent they paid to the zamindar was high. So they took a loan from the money lender. When they failed to pay the rent, they were evicted from the land. After realizing the problems of the permanent settlement system, the company officials came up with a new system of revenue collection called the Mahalwari System. It was introduced by Holt Mackenzie in 1822. Under the Mahalwari System, the land revenue was collected from the farmers by the village headman on behalf of the whole village, and not the zamindar. The entire village was converted into one bigger unit called Mahal, and it was treated as one unit for the payment of land revenue. Revenue was not fixed permanently. The revenue was to be revised periodically. The Monroe System or Ryotwari System. Sir Thomas Munro, Governor of Madras in 1820, established this land revenue scheme. The system was proposed on a small scale by Captain Alexander Reid in some areas of the south. It was gradually extended all over South India. In this system, the peasants or cultivators were regarded as the owners of the land. They could sell, mortgage or gift the land. The company made a revenue settlement directly with the peasants. The fields of ryots or cultivators were carefully surveyed before the revenue assessment was made. All the new systems proved to be failure. Ryots were incapable to pay. They left the countryside, and villages became deserted in many regions. Crops for Europe. By the late 18th century, Britishers tried to expand the cultivation of opium and indigo in various parts of India. They also forced the cultivators to grow various other crops such as jute in Bengal, tea in Assam, sugarcane in UP, wheat in Punjab, rice in Madras, and cotton in Maharashtra and Punjab. How was this done? The East India Company was trying to expand its indigo cultivation in India to support the growing textile industry in England. Why the demand for Indian indigo? Indigo can only be grown in tropical climate. So, climate of India was suitable for its growth. Indian indigo was used by cloth manufacturers in Italy, France, and Britain to dye cloth. India was the biggest supplier of indigo in the world at that time. But small amounts of Indian indigo reached the European market and its price was very high. Therefore, European cloth manufacturers had to depend on another plant called woad to make violet and blue dyes. Indigo produced a rich blue color, whereas the dye from woad was pale and dull. By the end of the 18th century, demand for Indian indigo increased because of the heavy industrialization in Britain. Between 1783 and 1789, the production of indigo in the world fell by half. As there was less supply, the British dyers became keener to procure indigo, and at this point, they turned to India to meet their needs. Britain turns to India. The demand for indigo was rising day by day in Europe. Therefore, the company decided to expand indigo cultivation in India. Bengal was the largest exporter of indigo to the Britain. As the indigo trade grew, many of the commercial agents and company officials started investing in the indigo business. As this was a profitable business, many Englishmen settled in India and became indigo planters. Loans were granted by the company and the bank for indigo cultivation. How was indigo cultivated? Indigo cultivation was done under two systems, known as NCERT system and Ryoti system. Within the system of NCERT cultivation, the planter produced indigo in lands that he directly controlled. He either bought the land or rented it from other zamindars to produce indigo. He directly employed laborers to produce indigo. There were problems with niche cultivation. The niche cultivators found it difficult to grow indigo as it required a large fertile area. But it was not easily available as most of the land was densely populated. Even laborers were not available sometimes as they were busy with the rice cultivation. Thus, they were not interested in growing indigo anymore. Under the Ryoti system, the planters forced the ryots or village headmen to sign a contract. Those who signed the contract got cash advances from planters at low interest rate to produce indigo. But this system was not in favor of the cultivators. The planter used to provide the seeds and drill to the farmer. And he in return had to take care of the plants. But soon, the riots realized that this system was not an easy one. Because they got trapped in the cycle of loans, which were never ended. There were other problems too. After an indigo harvest, the fertility of the land reduced. And the land became unfit for the growth of rice. The Blue Rebellion and after effects. In March 1859, a rebellion broke in Bengal against the planters. Many of the peasants refused to pay rents to the planters and to grow indigo. Not only this, they attacked indigo factories. At some places, the village headmen also supported this rebellion. Peasants at some places thought that they would get support from the Britishers. But it was not so, as the Britishers became cautious after the revolt of 1857. So, the government brought military for safeguarding planters in the indigo districts. Queen Victoria ordered Magistrate of Barsat, Ashley Eden, to issue a notice stating that riots would not be forced to enter into indigo contracts. The government set up the Indigo Commission to inquire into the system of indigo production. It declared that indigo cultivation was not profitable for riots. Hence they could refuse to produce indigo in future. After the revolt, production of indigo came to an end in Bengal and planters shifted to Bihar. Dears, this was all about ruling the countryside. Hope this video is helpful for you to understand the concept easily. If you like this video, please share and subscribe to this channel for more updates. Thank you.